Wide receiver one in this class. I mentioned
Oh,
that.
he's number one for you? Oh.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, he didn't make your top 10? That's crazy.
No,
Wow.
no, wow.
Wide receiver,
He's the best player in the draft.
wide receiver one for us. I mentioned that somebody having a former NFL father in Musha Muhammad wouldn't be the last time they mentioned it. So, of course, Marvin Harrison Jr., the son of Marvin Harrison Sr., the legendary Indianapolis Colts wide receiver, 6'4", 205 pounds. That is the 91st and the 59th percentile. What's left to say, I feel like, about this guy? As a sophomore in 2022, so last year, Harrison was voted a unanimous All-American, and he was the receiver of the year after recording 1,200 yards and 14 touchdowns, 60% contested catch percentage, an elite 90.7 PFF receiving grade last year, 36 explosive plays of 15 yards or more through the air. That was the number one mark in the FBS. Connor, let me know what you thought about this dude, and then I'll kind of piggyback off of that.
It's almost start with Marvin Harrison. You have to start where it ended last year. Watch Ohio State when he gets hurt in their final game of the season.
Great way to say it.
And that tells me everything about Marvin Harrison Jr. He is the most important player to his team in college football. And for a wide receiver to be that, it's just unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And when you look at this guy, you know, I went into this with such a fascinating perspective because it's just natural. When I obviously watch college football and I've seen a lot of Marvin Harrison Jr. How could you not? And there's so much hype around him because of his dad is an all-time great. He plays now at Ohio State, a great program, great wide receivers. They've been good while he's been there. Everybody in the fantasy community is drooling over him. You go in with so much hype, and so much of this job, I feel like, is me trying to just like shelter from hype and just evaluate what I see. And I almost went in, not jaded at all, because that's ridiculous, but like with an outlook, I was like, is Marvin Harrison going to be able to justify this level of hype? Because this is unfair to anyone as a prospect. And he still exceeded it. He still exceeded it because I knew he'd catch a bunch of touchdowns. I knew he would be big, strong, fast. But the things he also does while being the most physically gifted player on the field and being the most productive player on the field and being the most important player on the field, he still runs phenomenal routes. Like the work ethic is just clearly out of this world. It doesn't matter that his dad was an all-time great or that like this dude clearly has incredible work ethic. You cannot jam him at the line of scrimmage. Mm-hmm. He has long arms. He clearly puts in the work in the weight room because unlike his dad, who is kind of this like anomaly when you look at Marvin Harrison, like if you just showed somebody a picture of Marvin Harrison when he was what, 21, you'd be like, yeah, this dude ended up being one of the greatest wide receivers of his generation. And they're like, really? Like that skinny guy? And it's like, yeah. Unlike his dad, who's just incredible, this dude is a monster. So muscular, big, fast, gifted. This is the things, though, that like when I found this on tape, I was like, he's got it all. He gets held so much. And instead of complaining to the ref or stopping the play, he just fights like hell. He fights like hell through it and still makes a play because he's that good that somebody can literally should be penalized. And it doesn't, that can't even stop him. That's how good he is. Excellent improviser when the play breaks down. He's an acrobat. He's got late hands, which I'm sure his dad taught him. What I mean by late hands is like he doesn't put his hands up till he absolutely has to, so a corner can't get a read on the ball without looking at the quarterback. The last thing, Trevor, that just blew my mind, when they were up in a game, 45-7, I don't know why he's on the field, and a long run breaks down 40 yards down the field. Mm-hmm. He ran 45 yards down the field and made a kill shot block to seal the touchdown run. They're up 45-7 in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And he runs 45 yards down the field for his teammate to score a touchdown. He's dare I say, like almost a perfect player. He's almost a perfect player. I think he's the best player in the draft.
There's so many things that Marvin Harrison Jr. does so very well. You highlighted a lot of them, and a lot of like the typical boxes that you go to check for a wide receiver. You check those very quickly with him, but then you mentioned just how nuanced this guy is. The late hands. I love that you mentioned how he's able to get off press to line of scrimmage. That was the very first thing that I wrote down is he has his hands up and ready at the snap. Because if you try to extend your hand on him, boom, he's knocking it away, and all of a sudden that's free separation from him. And not to say that like he won't get pressed in the NFL and that he'll be able to break it every time, but like he already understands so much of that. He understands like how to sell the routes, how to get separation with, turning a little bit this way to get the corner to just barely open up their hips to the right, and then you're attacking where their blind side's going to be. Like he understands all of those things. So not only does he check all the boxes from a height perspective, from a weight perspective, from a work ethic perspective, from a athletic perspective, whatever. Like it's even those small technique things that he is getting down at what feels like an NFL starting caliber level now. I mean, we just watched the true sophomore tape that we're watching, and it feels like we're watching some NFL tape from him. So look, I don't want to say that he's going to like immediately come into the NFL and beat Calvin Johnson or Randy Moss. I'm not trying to say that, but this is somebody who you should absolutely be excited about. This is somebody who you're going to see him in the top 5, top 10 of a lot of mock drafts. And the hype is absolutely warranted. What he does from, again, just a true sophomore, that tape is pretty incredible. Look,
I ask you something crazy, not to cut you off, but I don't want to forget this. I can't forget this.
Yeah.
When you do the deep dive Marvin Harrison eval, the way we did, I'm not going to say it changed things because that's just a wild overreaction. But did it at least raise your concern level half a notch? That like he does things for Stroud that I was just like, man, like Stroud's going to miss having a guy like that. I know it's maybe so stupid to say.
There were a handful of things that I watched with Ibuka and Marvin Harrison Jr. when I went, okay, they bailed out Stroud there. But I mean, I'm
not saying I'm taking anything back on Stroud as a prospect. I'm just saying
I also noted that when I watched Stroud, and I know that you did too, but it's like you kind of watch things from a different perspective.
This way.
Yeah.
I was like, man, like he changes how your confidence as a quarterback is what I'm trying to say.
You recognize how good this guy is individually when you truly put him under the microscope, right? You're able to eliminate, I don't want to say eliminate, but you're able to separate him a little bit from the quarterback that's throwing in the ball to the offense that's around him, all that kinds of stuff. And you go, okay, how do you win individually? And Marvin Harrison Jr. just wins in so many ways. I don't even think he's like this great straight line athlete. I don't think he's this crazy vertical burner, but it doesn't really matter. He's so confident in his other abilities that he creates separation in a lot of different ways. And he's consistently a vertical threat in that regard. I don't think there's any route that he can't run. I don't think there's any offense that he wouldn't be a wide receiver 1 in. He's extremely reliable in his catches. Just to the overall like long speed point, he's not a big yak guy. He had over 1,200 total receiving yards last year. Just 312 and 23 of them came after the catch. So I did not notice that being a big part of his game. Certainly when opportunities were there, he was able to take them a little bit, but that's less than 25% of your yards coming after the catch. We've talked about guys who sometimes their yards are anywhere from 40 to 60% after the catch. So Marvin Harrison's is lower. So I don't think he's like this yak king. Just go throw him the ball and he's going to come down with it for you. So that's why he's number 1 for me as well.
And one last thing that was funny to me, we had him charged with 3 drops on 118 targets, which is just like, it's nothing. It's unreal.
Yeah.
Only 2 were his fault. One of the drops is
I didn't watch the drops.
I was like,
because I wasn't even worried about it. Honestly.
I was like, damn, he's somehow even better than his already great number.
Yeah. By the way, his dad was 6 feet tall, 185 pounds. He's 6'4", 205. So
yeah, he'll play at 215 in his sleep.
I mean,
like just gifted
dudes
and
built to be phenomenal at the position, and I feel like he already is. So
yeah, the old like wide receiver in a lab. This is it. This is the picture next to that.
Well,
phrase.
I don't want to totally say that because every time I say that, I just picture Calvin Johnson. But
right, I know.
I'm not going to call him Calvin Johnson. He's a really damn good receiver, and that's how we're going to end it.
Yeah, somebody did text me and they're like, did you like Chase better? Because they knew how much I liked Chase. Chase is my favorite wide receiver I've ever evaluated before the draft.
Ooh.
And I said, I still have Chase maybe a hair ahead because Chase was like after the catch.
Yes. Right. Right.
But Marvin's got a year left.
I know.
Like I don't have a grade on Marvin. You got a grade filed.
Right. You got to wait to answer that question until
the fact the question exists shows you how good he is.
It definitely absolutely does.